Good afternoon. Hey, it's Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show, the show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and I love that I get to spend today to inspire and coach and guide you to living not only life to your fullest health potential, but teaching you how to become your own physician, your own healer. The idea is patient heal thyself, and today I love that we get this opportunity to talk about a very common condition that affects a lot of people. And so many of us write it off as, well, I'm getting older, so that's why my joints hurt. That's why my doctor says I have arthritis. That's why my knee, my hip, my back, my elbow, my you name it, is painful, achy, stiff, tender, swollen. What are some other things? Painful. Arthritis is a condition that is affecting more and more Americans, yet it doesn't have to. So all during today, your health hour, we're going to ask that deep, hard question, what is arthritis really? Is it old age, or is there something causing it? How do we deal with it? And what do we do naturally to sort of resolve the underlying problem? Because here's the deal, guys. Your body has the potential to regenerate. And the unique thing that we've learned now today with what I'll call regenerative medicine, yes, you can pay a fortune to have stem cells injected into your joints. And yes, it does help to regenerate. But wait a second. If those injected stem cells can help to regenerate a joint, could you somehow activate that regeneration yourself? But more importantly, prevent it from ever happening in the first place by understanding where does arthritis come from. We're going to talk about that today. Arthritis is a condition that if you catch it early enough, and I want to say catch it in that it's something you all are going to have to deal with, we can turn the tide on joint stiffness, pain, aching, etc. And I'm sure you know the feeling. But all of these signs of joint issues are, in fact, something that I want to be honest with you with. Your joints should not hurt. They should not hurt all the time. They shouldn't be stiff. They shouldn't be achy, etc. And I don't care if you tell me, well, Dr. Ernst, I'm 65. They're supposed to. Nope. I know plenty of 65-year-olds that have no arthritis. So wait a second. If old age caused arthritis, then as soon as you hit old age, whatever that is, 66, 72, 86, I don't know, all of a sudden, there should be arthritis. If age caused arthritis, everyone would hit the arthritic age and they'd have arthritis. And I have some patients, I know some people who are 83, no arthritis, 94, no arthritis. So the real question we should be asking is an interview with them. Hey, what are you doing? How did you not end up with this? And that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the causes and natural strategies to deal with arthritis? And we have to break them down into their subcategories. I realize there's 3 different types. So we have a huge show today, but we're going to be able to do it. And I also want to just give you some tidbits. I'm leaving from this morning doing a webinar. We had a great webinar. My God. Weight loss and diabetes. It was phenomenal. So if you missed this, listen, I'm going to do a bit of a repeat, but it's something new. And we've done this before once. It was phenomenal. And it's the ability for you to give me the topic you want to talk about. We call it 3 steps to self-healing. And it's for whatever your specific condition is. So if it's arthritis, when you register for the event, you're going to get a survey and just tell me, I want to deal with arthritis. So the webinar is going to be, okay, here's the steps to do. Here's how you test for it, etc. If it's type 2 diabetes, if it's something with your thyroid, if it's something with your blood pressure, your cholesterol, if it's weight loss resistance, if it's an autoimmune condition, anything you're dealing with your health can be addressed naturally when you go into the deep root causes. So we're calling it 3 steps to self-heal. It's on July 10th. It's about 3 weeks away from today. And just because of the energy I have from hosting a webinar today, I want to throw out an early option for you to register for that. Simple, free, and easy. And look, if you've been listening to my show for any period of time going, gosh, I wonder if he can help me. I wonder if these techniques work for my condition. Pick up the phone and call this number, 704-906-2094. And what we're going to do is get you registered for the event. I'm going to connect with you and find out what's going on. We're going to custom create that event to help you see, in this condition, these are the top things that create it. Here's a test you need to do to get it, and here's what you can do to solve that. And if you end up working with us or connecting with us, great. So that's 704-906-2094. My call lines are open right now. There's a couple people ringing in. And you can also text your name and your email if you want to bypass the call center and just get straight to registration. Name, first, last, email, 704-906-2094. Again, absolutely free, Saturday, January 10th, live webinar, you and me, to discuss your health issues so we can break apart the functional cause, the natural solutions, and the things you can do right now to start taking control of your health. 704-906-2094. All about arthritis. That's what I'm calling the show today, partly because it's a condition that affects a lot of people. Listen to this. Centers for Disease Control say 50 million Americans are dealing with arthritis. And that's now to the state of about 1 in 5 people over the 18 having a diagnosis of some type of arthritis, either in their neck, their back, their shoulder, their knee, their wrist, their elbow, their foot, etc. And here's the unconventional truth I want to leave you with as we sort of start our show today. Ready? Number 1, arthritis is an inflammatory condition, which means it's joint inflammation, which means if we can address the inflammatory cause, we can calm down the joint, make it feel better. We can prevent further degeneration. And if you live an anti-inflammatory life, as I call it, and you do this early enough, you can actually prevent yourself from ever getting into this arthritic condition in the first place. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about, where does the inflammation come from? What is the real source of it? It's not your age. It's not your genetics. It's not the amount of exercise you're doing or not doing. Then we're going to go into how this inflammation develops. What are the major sources of that? And then I have my sort of top tips and techniques on immediately helping to reduce the joint discomfort and pain, and also how do we naturally approach arthritis from a functional perspective by getting to the root cause. You're going to see today there are many things that you might be doing to yourself that you did not know that are causing your joints to be inflamed, achy, sore, and arthritic. And if we fix that, regenerative. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to get things injected into your joints. Your body can do it by itself for you. That's the power that you have inside of you. That's the event that you have today with the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. And don't forget, in 3 weeks, July 10th, 10 a.m. in the morning is my next live webinar. 3 steps to heal yourself. If you have a health condition and you're looking for a natural way out, 704-906-2094. The number again, 704-906-2094. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We'll be right back.
Sterling believes in the science of CBD. Here's 3 great reasons to choose Sterling CBD. Reason number 1, Sterling is pure CBD. Sterling CBD is made from pure CBD isolate. We remove all the THC and unnecessary compounds, leaving only pure CBD. Reason number 2, backed by science. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has approved CBD for U.S. Olympic athletes, but they only approve pure CBD, like Sterling CBD. Reason number 3, our organic hemp is FDA approved. At Sterling CBD, we quality control test at every manufacturing stage. We start with organic hemp plants and track them to our FDA-registered food-grade extraction facility. Our pure CBD products include capsules, isolates, lotions, and oils. We even have CBD pet products. You can find Sterling CBD at drernstscbd.com. Use the coupon code Dr. Ernst for 20% off your order.
How come there are people who drink a pint of whiskey a day for 20, 30 years, and at the end of it only 20 or 30% become cirrhotic? What happened to the others? And we speculated, we hypothesized, it's the enzyme, alcoholic dehydrogenase made by the stomach. Maybe it's different, maybe it's genes, maybe it's polymorphism. Mm-hmm. The answer appears to be coffee. If you drink that much alcohol and drink 1 cup of regular coffee a day, 20% reduction in alcoholic cirrhosis risk, 2 cups 40%, 4 cups 80%. It's not a license to drink heavily.
Right.
And drink coffee and protect your liver. You could still get Korsakoff psychosis, cardiomyopathy, pancreatitis, kill people on the road,
Sure.
ruin your marriage. but it does protect the liver. It's pretty amazing.
Here's a secret your grocery store does not want you to know. At ThriveMarket.com, get up to 50% off all your organic groceries delivered to your door for free. Shop organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, and paleo. And get a free jar of coconut oil. Thrive Market. Wholesome products, wholesale prices. Get your free coconut oil today only at ThriveMarket.com.
Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Hey, it's the show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and today we have a lively discussion about arthritis. I'm calling it All About Arthritis, natural solutions and techniques to deal with Uncle Arthur, those painful, stiff ache joints that show up neck, mid-back, low back, hips, knees, ankles, elbows, wrists, etc. And the challenge with arthritis is a lot of us have been told that it's something that normally develops as we get older. And I'm here to tell you that's not necessarily the case. There is some degree that if your inflammatory states are elevated for longer periods of time, so as we go year after year after year, the longer we live, the more inflamed we are, the more likely our joints are to decay, deteriorate, and it can lead to an arthritic type of a condition. So there's truth behind the time frame, but it's not always that case. If your inflammation is under control and we live a long, healthy life, then we don't end up arthritic because our joints are not inflamed. We also have to discuss this concept that there's 3 different types of arthritis. So we have to figure out which one do you have because they each have slightly different root causes. The major source, when I said earlier that the CDC says 50 million Americans have arthritis, they're referring to what's called osteoarthritis, and that is the, quote, degenerative joint disease. It's the most common form, and it's what typically shows up again in your hips and your knees and your hands and your spine, and often requires, if not corrected properly, some sort of joint replacement and or surgery, because eventually the joint is going to wear out. But in fact, it doesn't wear out. What it does is it simply degenerates. Now, the question should be this. Your body is a regenerative healing system. So how does degeneration overtake regeneration? Well, it's because of the presence of a chronic inflammatory state. Chronic, long-lasting inflammation has been directly connected to the creation of arthritis in a joint, specifically osteoarthritis. And if we can solve this inflammatory disorder, you can actually slowly over time begin to regenerate some tissue, get functionality back, decrease the pain, and become your own joint healer. In order to do that, again, we have to talk about where does all the inflammation come from in the first place. So we have osteoarthritis, the degenerative inflammatory style joint condition. Then we have rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune degenerative joint condition. Instead of old age or wear and tear, what now happens is the body confuses your joints as being a foreign substance, and it starts to attack rheumatoid arthritis as an example. Psoriatic arthritis, it starts to attack the joints, and the degradation is because of I'll call it a reaction where the body is physically destroying joint tissues. These are always connected to an autoimmune condition. And when autoimmunity is present, listen to this, it's almost always connected to an issue within your gut microbiome, the digestive process of your entire system. And what we now know is that autoimmunity is a stemming source from having either a leaky gut or dysbiosis or some sort of bowel dysfunction. So if we can solve the leaky gut issues, we often see rheumatoid arthritis start to improve because the autoimmunity calms down. Then we have a new one that a lot of you may or may not have heard about called reactive arthritis. And this is purely related to things you expose yourself to, environmental toxins, food sensitivities, reactions to certain food groups, specifically things like dairy and corn and rice and soy, oats, etc. Also sugars. And so if you inflame your body, your joints get inflamed and they react to the foods you consume or the products that you have been taking or using, and the toxicities lead to an inflammation within the joint. So we have osteoarthritis, which is a degenerative inflammatory condition that worsens with age because we're not solving our inflammation. So what are we going to do today? Talk to you about the top most powerful anti-inflammatory techniques you can do. We have rheumatoid arthritis, which is, again, an autoimmune state. So the body's confused and attacking the joints, usually because of a microbiome breakdown, a leaky gut, a dysbiosis. So we're going to talk about how to rebuild your gut today. And then we have reactive arthritis, which is you just simply often need to clean up your diet, decrease your toxicities, and your joints will then start to calm themselves down. So the three main sources are that. Now, when we go into the root causes, let's start with, say, both osteoarthritis and the reactive arthritis. It's almost always the underlying precursor is an improper biomechanical function of whatever joint is arthritic. So I have patients often come into my clinic and they'll say, Dr. Ernst, I've been diagnosed with arthritis in my hip. My hip is bothering me. It hurts. Can you help me? And so before we jump straight into the yes, we can, we have to figure out, well, wait a second. Why is it the right hip and not the left hip? Why is it happening in this stage and not 10 years ago, etc.? So a 2013 study that was published in Osteoarthritis Cartilage, which is a journal, found that almost all arthritis is a disease that relates to the mechanics of that joint. So if it's your knee, biomechanically, the movement of the knee is off. And I want you to think of it in terms of an analogy you might understand. Take your car, de-align the tires, so you are now out of alignment, drive to California and back thousands of miles, and what you're going to find is an abnormal wear on the tire. Now, so you might say, that makes perfect sense. The car was out of alignment. That's why the tires wore inappropriately. Well, the analogy is now you. Your knee is out of alignment. Your hip is out of alignment. Your shoulder's out of alignment. Your back, your neck. The alignment pattern is off. You drive, you walk to work, you use your joints, you do all this sort of stuff, and your body wears down the joint inappropriately because of a biomechanical dysfunction. The term biomechanics refers to bio, body, mechanic, movement, so the movement of your body. When we talk about biomechanics, we mean how are your joints moving? Are the muscles contracting properly to make them glide in a proper fashion? Do you have good nerve supply to the joints for regeneration? Poor biomechanics makes your joints, your muscles, and your nerves undergo something that they're not traditionally designed for, not healthy, and it leads to irritation and inflammation, which leads to degradation, degeneration, and joint pain, thus arthritis. So an ongoing, unaddressed mechanical issue within the joint is the root cause, typically for an osteoarthritic condition. If your joints were aligned properly, normal motion would occur, and here's the beauty part. Your body has the ability to regenerate itself every single day. Small wear and tear on a joint, go to sleep at night, regenerates, joint is now new. If your joint's out of alignment and there's either nerve and or muscle involvement, it can't fully regenerate itself on a daily basis, so it's a compounding interest of degradation. The issue, of course, is this further increases your risks of further developing a biomechanical issue, which further develops into an osteoarthritis or an inflammatory issue. So what do you think the number one thing we need to do if we have arthritis in a joint? We need to make sure the joint is moving properly. Now, you're going to already say to me, well, it's not. That's why it hurts. I can't move it properly. This is where we need to find some professional assistance and advice. Either a chiropractic physician, someone who works in the field of physiotherapies or physical therapies, someone who is trained in the art of assessing joint motion and can help you with therapies to realign it. You would be amazed the number of people I have seen that say, I have an arthritic knee, I can only do this, I can't do that. We start working on the alignment of their hips, their knees, and their pelvis, and all of a sudden, motion's back, pain is decreased, functionality's back on track again. Why? The mechanics of the joint need to be addressed first. So if you're looking for help with a bad back, a bad neck, a bad hip, a bad ankle, knee, whatever, seek first some assistance with either a holistic physician, chiropractor, physical therapist, physiotherapist, someone who is trained in the art of assessing joint function, Get the alignment back on track again, and you'll see a massive improvement. Second, we have to recognize that, wait a second, it's an inflammatory condition, which means some sort of inflammation is present within your body. Osteoarthritis, of course, the degenerative style, is characterized by an inflammation that is typically showing up from the fact that your diet has led to an increase in inflammatory byproducts. We know for a fact that if you eat too many inflammatory foods, i.e., refined sugars, refined carbohydrates, processed foods, refined oils, vegetable oils, artificial ingredients, conventional processed animal products, dairy, and other processed foods, corn, wheat, rice, soy, oats, etc., have been shown scientifically to increase your inflammatory response that leads to an aggravation of the tissue that's already out of alignment. So, for example, if your hip is out of alignment and you're walking on it regularly and your diet is a bit off track, you'll now have more inflammation within your body, and it seeks out the areas of alignment that are out of balance, and it starts to sort of camp out in that region. A 2016 study that was published in Nutrition and Diabetes found that for the average adult who drank one soft drink that was sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, they were more likely to develop joint inflammation than those who didn't. So look at the power of just one carbonated beverage, high fructose corn syrup. Later in the journal Rheumatology, they found that your diet is almost directly connected to your likelihood of developing and your likelihood of the intensity of your arthritis. So the number one thing you can do, in addition to getting your joints aligned properly, is begin an anti-inflammatory diet. You know, we talk about this every single week. We have to cut out dairy products. Dairy is a major inflammatory, yet a lot of you think, well, it's good for my joints, I thought. No, it creates an inflammatory response which can actually make your joints worse. Gluten, found in a lot of grains, specifically wheat and bread products, pastas, etc., is an inflammatory agent that we know irritates the microbiome. Sugar and its refined products, conventional dairy and conventional meat products, so corn-fed, etc., processed meats, hydrogenated vegetable oils, additives that have been added to our food ingredients, and often just packaged and or processed foods elevate the reactions that we have with an inflammatory process in our body. So we need to cut that and go with a purely real whole food diet. Organic vegetables, nuts and seeds, fermented foods, wild-caught, free-range, grass-fed animal proteins, removing, again, the inflammatory sources of corn and rice and wheat and soy and oats, replacing them with, again, nuts and seeds, fruits and vegetables, clean animal proteins. And what you'll find is often your inflammatory levels drop quickly. Something else you can do that can drastically turn the tide on your inflammation, no matter what style of arthritis you have, is understanding that if you give your body a resting phase, a fasting phase, the research is actually evident, it kicks on the activation process. I'm going to talk about this when we come back from our next commercial break, but did you know a 3-day fast with either bone broth or water has been shown to turn your stem cells on in your body and create a level of regeneration within your joints? Imagine that. You can make your own stem cells, but you have to fast. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and some other steps you can take to turn the tide down on arthritis. But right now, I'm going to throw out an offer for you. If you have a health issue, maybe it's arthritis, maybe it's an issue with sort of a metabolic condition, can't lose weight, have no energy, tired and fatigued all the time, skin reactions, eczema, psoriasis, plaquing. Maybe you have something where you're taking a medication going, is there a way out of this? Diabetes, heart disease, thyroid issues, etc. Why don't you join me for my next free live webinar, which is on Saturday, July 10th. How to heal yourself. No MD required. I'm going to custom specifically create this event for you, but I need you to register. I need you to tell me what you want to heal from, and then we'll make the event for you. 704-906-2094. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. We'll be right back.
Sterling believes in the science of CBD. Here's 3 great reasons to choose Sterling CBD. Reason number 1, Sterling is pure CBD. Sterling CBD is made from pure CBD isolate. We remove all the THC and unnecessary compounds, leaving only pure CBD. Reason number 2, backed by science. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has approved CBD for U.S. Olympic athletes, but they only approve pure CBD, like Sterling CBD. Reason number 3, our organic hemp is FDA approved. At Sterling CBD, we quality control test at every manufacturing stage. We start with organic hemp plants and track them to our FDA-registered food-grade extraction facility. Our pure CBD products include capsules, isolates, lotions, and oils. We even have CBD pet products. You can find Sterling CBD at drernstscbd.com. Use the coupon code Dr. Ernst for 20% off your order.
How come there are people who drink a pint of whiskey a day for 20, 30 years, and at the end of it, only 20 or 30% become cirrhotic? What happened to the others? And we speculated, we hypothesized, it's the enzyme, alcoholic dehydrogenase made by the stomach. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's genes. Maybe it's polymorphism. The answer appears to be coffee. If you drink that much alcohol and drink 1 cup of regular coffee a day, 20% reduction in alcoholic cirrhosis risk. 2 cups, 40%. 4 cups, 80%. It's not a license to drink heavily.
Right.
And drink coffee and protect your liver. You could still get Korsakoff psychosis, cardiomyopathy, pancreatitis, kill people on the road, ruin your marriage, but it does protect the liver. It's pretty amazing.
Here's a secret your grocery store does not want you to know. At ThriveMarket.com, get up to 50% off all your organic groceries delivered to your door for free. Shop organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, and paleo. And get a free jar of coconut oil. Thrive Market. Wholesome products, wholesale prices. Get your free coconut oil today only at ThriveMarket.com.
So this is the difference between biodynamic and conventional farming. Let's look at the difference in vineyards here. You have very green grass and herbs and life growing, and then dead soil over here. So this is a conventional vineyard where they spray pesticides, they use a lot of tractors to pull up the soil. This soil is dead, it's dry. There's no life. This is Klaus's vineyard. It's farmed biodynamically. Everything is picked by hand and they don't use any chemicals. So there's life, there's green grass, everything grows. This is the big disparity between conventional farming and biodynamic farming, and you can see it perfectly side by side. We prefer this wine, of course, because this wine is dead. There's nothing living in it.
Good afternoon. Hey, it's Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst. Thanks for tuning in today. It's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set from your health problems. We're answering these questions about arthritis. All about arthritis today. Osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, reactive arthritis. What are they? Where do they come from? How do we control them? And what are some natural techniques for you to heal yourself in regards to an arthritic pain, lack of movement, and also the aching, stiff joints that generally plague a lot of us today? Do you know that according to the Centers for Disease Control, 50 million Americans have some degree of a joint pain that they deal with on a daily basis, many of which have been diagnosed as having either osteoarthritis, that's the degenerative style, rheumatoid arthritis, that's the autoimmune style, or now a newer type, which is called reactive arthritis, which is the body's response to your diet and toxicities. And yet so many of us, these people, are taking over-the-counter medications, are seeking physical therapy, or doing some things that they're trying to make their joints feel better, but we want to get into the underlying root causes. You solve that, and your body's going to heal by itself. I also want to open up an option. We had a lot of listeners text in and call in during our last commercial break for my next webinar coming up, Saturday, July 10th, 3 weeks away from today. I'm making this one a little more specific and custom. We did this a couple months ago. It was fantastic, so I'd love to do it again. If you have any health condition, you pick it, you want to lose weight, okay, and you're struggling, why don't you call us, 704-906-2094. I'll get you registered, and I'm going to go through the top 3 ways to break weight loss plateaus using natural techniques. Maybe you're taking a medication for thyroid or diabetes or high blood pressure or cholesterol. Those are the big 4. Well, if you'd like to learn how to get off of those naturally by going to the root source of your problem, then let me know. You register, and guess what we'll do? Not only will we talk about weight loss, for those of you who want to lose weight, we're going to talk about how to reduce medication reliance by fixing the underlying root systems of your health. 704-906-2094. Hey, when you call it, my call center will pick up. It's easy. Name, phone number, email. If you want to text it, all you have to do is just text over your name and your email address, and we'll get you registered. You'll get a survey from my clinic, and it's just going to say, what do you want to heal from? What has your doctor told you think the cause of it already is? And what would you like to learn on this event? And therefore, we custom create it to you. Maybe you've got a bigger issue, right? Psoriasis or eczema, plaquing, some sort of condition where your doctors have said, I don't know, we're running out of options here. Again, there's always healing power found inside of your body, and let's help you get that root system corrected. So again, Saturday, July 10th, it's at 10 a.m. in the morning. It's completely free. It's a live event. It's a webinar, and let's get you registered. 704-906-2094. We're discussing arthritis, and we talked at the top of the hour about how the number one reason a joint becomes arthritic, if it's an osteoarthritic type, the wear and tear, etc., is because of an alignment issue. The biomechanics of the joint are off balance. This is where the power of visiting a chiropractor or a physical therapist, physiotherapist that works with joint alignment is so great. If you get the alignment of the joint back on track again, the body has the ability to start regenerating. And what you'll do is you'll reset the biomechanics. Number 2, we discussed that almost all forms of arthritis are an inflammatory disorder, and the major sources of inflammation within your body have to do with your diet. If it's high in inflammatory refined sugars, carbohydrates, the refined oils, artificial ingredients, conventional and or processed animal products, dairy, wheat, grains, oats, etc., your inflammatory scores are going to be extremely elevated. So if we instead go with an anti-inflammatory diet, more whole food based, going with grass-fed meats and wild-caught fish and free-range eggs and organic vegetables and fruit products, sticking to primarily, again, what I would call a real diet. Nothing boxed, nothing packaged, making your own food products, using real ingredients, what you'll tend to find is major changes within your health and within your joints. According to some studies that were published in the Journal of Rheumatology, they found if you increase your antioxidants, which is done through nuts and seeds and fruits and vegetables, polyunsaturated fatty acids, those are your plant fats, avocado, coconut, and the nut and seed oils, and you bump your vitamin D and your vitamin K up, you can see a drastic shift within the arthritic pains that a lot of us deal with. Did you know that another big issue is the fact of uncontrolled blood sugars? So listen to this. A study done in 2015 in the Clinical Geriatric Medicine Journal discovered that 52% of people with type 2 diabetes also had arthritis. And then they looked in a group and said, okay, there's non-diabetics, and it was only 27% had osteoarthritis. So there's a 30% elevation in arthritis in individuals that have type 2 diabetes. Why? We've discovered that high sugars And bad, what I'll call sort of insulin reactions, elevated insulin response, insulin resistance, leads to an inflammatory condition that specifically contributes to the breakdown of collagen within your joints. And collagen is the main cushion barrier of the cartilage found between your joints. So if we can lower our blood sugars, we can increase our joint functionality. If we get the alignment back on track, we can increase functionality. If we cut our inflammatory scores down by improving our diet, we increase functionality. Now we have to get into the main cause, not just of osteoarthritis, but also rheumatoid and reactive, which is, do you have a leaky gut, dysbiosis? Your gut health is one of the most important aspects for healing in your body. They estimate 80% of your immune system is found inside your gut. What your immune system is trying to do is heal your joints, activate your natural stem cells, open up regenerative pathways. So if your microbiome is out of balance, eventually, if it's not already, it's going to affect your joint health. And one of the number one signs and symptoms that your gut is leaking is this. Your joints are achy, stiff, and feel arthritic, more so in the morning than in the afternoon and evening. And it means that there's an imbalance within the bacterial relationships, causing an inflammatory process that cascades itself typically into your joints. We also see in longer terms it goes to organ tissues, so be careful. It can play around with your thyroid. It can play around with your pancreas. It can lead to conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and other health issues that stem from a leaky gut, brain fog, forgetfulness, etc. So what we need to do is talk about how do we seal your gut, how do we decrease your inflammatory scores, how do we activate your self-healing, and most importantly, I'm saving it for the end, how to turn those stem cells on that your body has naturally so you can get your joints to regenerate. All of that happens when I come back to this commercial break. And listen, right now is a great opportunity to pick up the phone and join us for our webinar on Saturday, July 10th at 10 a.m., 3 steps to heal yourself, whatever condition you have. Find the root cause, fix it, let the body heal. You can do that. 704-906-2094. If you want to lose weight, pick up the phone. If you want to reduce your medications, pick up the phone. You want your energy back, your vitality, your essence, your life? 704-906-2094. Saturday, July 10th at 10 a.m. I hope to see you there. We'll be right back.
Sterling believes in the science of CBD. Here's 3 great reasons to choose Sterling CBD. Reason number 1, Sterling is pure CBD. Sterling CBD is made from pure CBD isolate. We remove all the THC and unnecessary compounds, leaving only pure CBD. Reason number 2, backed by science. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has approved CBD for U.S. Olympic athletes, but they only approve pure CBD, like Sterling CBD. Reason number 3, our organic hemp is FDA approved. At Sterling CBD, we quality control test at every manufacturing stage. We start with organic hemp plants and track them to our FDA-registered food-grade extraction facility. Our pure CBD products include capsules, isolates, lotions, and oils. We even have CBD pet products. You can find Sterling CBD at drernstscbd.com. Use the coupon code Dr. Ernst for 20% off your order.
What if we told you coffee was good for you?
Coffee is the single highest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. More antioxidants than kale, more antioxidants than 70% dark chocolate, and more antioxidants than blueberries.
In fact, what if we told you that coffee is really good for you?
Research shows that 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day dramatically enhances performance in high-intensity exercise, improves memory, reaction times, and overall cognitive function, decreases risk of depression, promotes weight loss by boosting metabolic rates, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes up to 40%, decreases risk of liver cancer up to 71%. reduces risk of Parkinson's up to 30%, and decreases risk of Alzheimer's up to 65%. Overall, coffee drinkers live longer. People who drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day have about a 15% lower risk of premature mortality compared to people who don't drink coffee.
Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're just joining us, it's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. It's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, and where you can be set free from your health problems. I'm your host, Dr. Aaron Ernst, and today we've been discussing the topic of arthritis. That joint aching, pain, discomfort, swelling, etc. that most of us go, ugh, do I have to deal with this again today? Well, what if I told you that your joint inflammation, the arthritis, etc., is all within your control? It has nothing to do with your age. Degeneration often takes place because of an improper alignment pattern to whatever joint is affecting you. It could be your neck, it could be your back, it could be your shoulder, your wrist, your elbow, your knee, your ankle, your hip. And that alignment issue stems and creates an inflammatory reaction that if you are feeding it with an inflammatory diet or other aspects between having an inappropriate relationship within your collagens, your multivitamins, minerals, nutrients needed for regeneration, that instead of your joint healing, it starts to decay and degrade. So why does it show up often as we get older? Not because of age specifically, but because the inflammatory process can be there 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So if we can go through the art of reactivating a natural regeneration phase for your body, I have seen this happen multitudes of times, where joints start to all of a sudden, A, move better, B, feel better, and then here's the greatest part. Over time, matter 6, 8, 10, 12 months, a year, 2, sometimes you see joint tissues actually regenerate. And I know it sounds strange to think, oh, I thought that, once a joint becomes arthritic, it never heals itself. Well, that's if you don't change the underlying root causes. If you don't fix the biomechanics and it's constantly wearing out, yes, it's going to continue to decay. If you don't fix the inflammatory nature of either your diet, your supplements, your nutrients, your detox, etc., yes, it's going to continue to decay because of the inflammatory process. If you have rheumatoid arthritis and you're not fixing the underlying autoimmunity, which is usually a dysbiosis or some sort of gut issue, yes, your body's going to continue to build antibodies and attack your joints. If you have reactive arthritis, which is now the newer term, where if you do something that inflames it, you eat a specific food and all of a sudden, oh, my joints, or you wear some sort of new perfume, or you switched your deodorants, or you changed a beauty product you were using, and then all of a sudden, flare up of your joints, that's a reactive nature to either toxicity or dietary inflammation. If you keep using those things, of course, you're going to continue to get that. So how do we solve this? How do we take our arthritis and undo it? Well, if it's osteoarthritis, step number 1 is time to visit a local chiropractor or someone who specializes in joint health, get the joints assessed, get them moving properly, and then begin some natural anti-inflammatory protocols, specifically by changing your diet. I'm going to give you the easiest anti-inflammatory nutrition plan I can think of. Okay, number 1, research is evident showing that if you start to decrease the number of times you eat per day and possibly go through what I call a 3 to 4 day rejuvenation fast, where you're either using bone broth, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, or water, or lemon water, or some sort of liquid, you can turn your body's natural ability to regenerate on. There are some studies making it evident that after about 3 days, now there's something very specific, 72 hours, there's this switch that takes place, and your stem cells start to naturally activate. And the unique thing about stem cells is they have the ability to turn into whatever they want. So if you've got an arthritic hip, I'm going to highly recommend you consider doing a 3-day bone broth or lemon water fast, something where you can hold off on eating food and let your body go through its natural process of opening up a reactivation phase for regeneration. Why does it take 3 days? Partly because so many of us, it takes that long for our sugars to come down, for our body to activate a state of burning fat, getting into a ketotic state, and the research is just evident. Those stem cells lie dormant in your body, and they have to be activated, and usually the best method of activation is through somewhat of a controlled starvation. Now, the reason we recommend bone broth is you're using the joint of a healthy animal, grass-fed beef or free-range, organic, non-GMO chicken, etc., to make these chicken or bone broths, beef bone broths. And they have the collagen and the chondroitin, the glucosamine, all those nutrients, the proline, the glycine that comes from the joint that you cooked. So you have to think of it as kind of like a joint broth. So you fast with the joint broth for 3 days. You get your body to go through its natural activation stage. And on that 72nd hour, it's like the lights turn on. And what most people tell me is they go, my God, my knee feels better. My hip is better. My back is better. I've even had some patients and clients say, hey, can I do a 4th day or a 5th? Yes. Just remember, you have to monitor some numbers, sugars and ketones. We don't want to do it forever. But after 4 or 5 days, we can start to eat again. And what you'll often see is if you control your diet, major changes within the amount of inflammation and pain in a joint. And again, 2016, the journal Nutrition and Diabetes showed that if you can control your blood sugars, you can control your inflammation. And another one in 2018, the Journal of Rheumatology found out if you decrease your inflammatory foods and increase the anti-inflammatory foods, low glycemic fruits, herbs and spices, nuts and seeds, pasture-raised egg products, etc., wild-caught fish, grass-fed beef, that you can actually increase the ability for your body to regenerate and heal from an arthritic joint pain. Something else I'd like to consider is the art of sticking with that intermittent fasting pattern after you fast for a couple days. Getting into a state of low-grade ketosis has been shown to actually reduce the pain associated with rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis, and in my belief, it actually helps to regenerate some joint tissues. This is relatively new. A 2020 study published in the article Pain Medicine found that if you go on a low-carbohydrate diet, you can actually reduce the joint pain within your knees more so than you could with using a prescriptive or over-the-counter anti-inflammatory. So people that went into this ketotic diet got better pain management for arthritic knees than those who actually used medications and over-the-counters. Ketosis has this ability to not only stimulate regeneration, but there's this process called autophagy, which is in a term of where your cells start to eat damaged tissues, thus reducing inflammation and actually activating a level of joint repair. So consider this. Going into a ketotic intermittent fasting diet has in the research been shown to be one of the best things you can do to control your joint pains, but also activate a level of regeneration. So imagine this. You're going to see your chiropractor, you're getting adjusted, neck, back, shoulder, joints, hips, etc. You've gone anti-inflammatory, you've been fasting, you go into a ketotic diet. Do you see how that brings a massive level of regeneration as opposed to just taking an over-the-counter medication and saying, oh, I guess it's my old age? The best way to stay in a state of low-grade ketosis is by intermittent fasting. Now, a 2019 study that was published in the journal Nutrients has confirmed that intermittent fasting, which means eating for about a 12-hour window, noon to 8, for example, or 11 to 7 or something to that effect, has been shown to reduce joint inflammation in both rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. After just a little as 1 week of intermittent fasting, most participants already started to report that their joints felt better, they had more energy, many of them also lost weight. So it's something to consider. A 3-day broth fast, getting into a low level of ketosis, and using an intermittent fasting plan to decrease your inflammatory response, and that is looking at it from a functional perspective. Then we can start talking about now, how do we repair a microbiome? Well, the easiest way is the body will naturally do it by itself while you're going through a fasting phase. Getting into a low-grade ketosis helps actually seal your intestines. So does the art of increasing probiotic-rich foods, including fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut, etc., using a natural probiotic. And also a study that was done in 2019, relatively recent, shown in the journal Helion, H-E-L-I-Y-O-N, that there's a correlation between a gut leak, dysbiosis, and arthritis. So much so that they actually proposed what is creating arthritis in most individuals is the fact that the gut is now leaking. And here's what happens. Small amounts of toxins, stool, fecal materials, etc., bacteria, and even large food particles can leak through the intestines, get into your bloodstream, activate an inflammatory process, and the number one area that is usually affected first is your joints. So if we want to solve our gut health issues, we need to increase what I call sort of the gut health foods. And a lot of those are bone broth, coconut oils, avocado oils, fermented food products, probiotics, and the art of resting your digestion. Going through an intermittent fasting plan or a multi-day fast does wonders for your gut. There's also studies that show that there's direct correlations between vitamin D deficiency and almost all forms of arthritis. It's a critical hormone technically. I know it's a vitamin, but to your body it counts it as a hormone. And there's evidence that shows if your vitamin D scores are less than optimal. Now, the unique thing is medically they're going to say optimal is between 30 and 40, maybe 60. But I'm here to tell you, you want your vitamin D to be 60 or 70 or 80, even 90. Clinically, it can go as high as 100. So I'm going to say I'd like to see it as high as I can get it. 80, 85, 90, 95. A 2017 study published in the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine correlated vitamin D levels that were low, less than 30, with significant amounts of cartilage dysfunction and osteoarthritis. They also discovered that if you elevate your vitamin D levels, you not only prevent it, but you can actually decrease the pain associated with arthritis. A simple, easy vitamin that unfortunately about 80% of Americans are deficient in. Lastly, I want to talk about the fact that we need to talk about the healthy fats you consume. Fat often gets this really bad rap. Everything is, I want to go low fat, I don't want to have a lot of fat in my diet, etc. But yet, you need a specific fat, and you need your ratio of these fats to be proper. Your omega-6 and 3 fatty acids determine the amount of inflammation within a joint. The average American has a 40-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, when in fact a true healthy joint has a ratio between about a 1-to-1 and 4-to-1 relationship. So we need to decrease our omega-6s by sometimes 10 times. The easiest way to do that is recognize that omega-6 fatty acids are often found in grains and in a lot of the fast food products or the oils that we consume when we're using vegetable oil, canola, etc. If you want to increase your omega-3 fatty acids, you can not only do that through supplementation, but by increasing natural animal products, grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, free-range eggs, etc. So if we can do this, down-regulate our inflammation, get our joints back in track as far as their alignment, boost your vitamin D effects, help to decrease the microbiome issues that you may have, seal your gut, fast, get into ketosis, and address your health issues from the root, you'll see your arthritis fades very quickly, even rheumatoid, even reactive arthritis. So there's our show for today. Hopefully you found it to be informative and helpful. If you'd like more information about solving your health issue specific, if it's an arthritis, let's find out where it's coming from. What's the alignment issue? How can we solve your gut health issues? Join me for my next webinar. It's on the 10th of July, 3 weeks from today at 10 a.m. Also, if you're looking to break free from a medication, cholesterol, triglycerides, blood pressure, diabetes, thyroid, if you have a health issue that you want to solve naturally, this is your opportunity to get a custom webinar specific to you, root causes and natural solutions, absolutely free, Saturday, July 10th, 10 a.m. in the morning, 704-906-2094. The number again, 704-906-2094. It's the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Until then.